Today we're going to talk about our 5 steps to selling a business. And at the end of this video, we've got 2 secrets or things we like to implement in these processes to materially enhance the probability of a good outcome. So the first step is gathering information and crystallizing the narrative. That is getting all of the relevant information from the company and the pertinent things, not all of the extraneous things, but financial performance, processes relative to origination, execution, operations, overviews of the people, processes as mentioned, the product, the services, the offering, and why is it special, why is it unique, what's its edge. The second step is researching who would be the optimal counterparties. And so in this frame, we like to look at the company from the perspective of the fundamentals, yes, the financial performance, but also what is the access, what end markets, what clients, what industries do they have a special relationship or inroads with? And lastly, capabilities or aptitude. What is the proprietary element of the business? In the area we focus in, $1 to $10 million of profit, you're not competing on price of capital, you're not competing on commodity product or service, and therefore there must be something special about it, and we really want to emphasize that. And so when we go out there and we look at who would be the right acquirer for a particular business, we not only look at who would find appeal in the fundamentals and in these things, but what missing puzzle piece does this company solve? And if someone is looking at that from the perspective of buy versus build, of, well, if I had to go create it myself, it costs way more, then they can be much more aggressive in how they approach the company that we're representing. The third step is the actual communications and those dialogues, reaching out to those parties, having the communications and funneling that down to actionable offers. And so taking the 100, 200 parties, funneling that down through the exercise, and we'll get more into that at the end of this video, and boiling that down to our 10 offers that we may have for any particular situation, sometimes more. The fourth step is negotiating and structuring the offer. And so we like to create a matrix of sorts, not only looking at the dollar amount for the deal, but what is the structure? How much is that closing? How much is over time? What are the requirements of the transition period for ownership? What happens to the stakeholders, the other owners of the business, the employees, the vendors, the community that may be involved with, or anything else like that. And so even though we're getting lots of different data points of offers, we want to kind of line them up apples to apples and say, okay, what is numbers, structure, transition, stakeholders? Lastly is the formal diligence, and now that's the process of getting to a signed letter of intent and pushing the process from that signed letter of intent to the closing of a deal. And that's where a lot of the heavy lifting relative to the data room and the granular details of the company have to come forth, and we organize that and facilitate that process seamlessly. And so that has to do with the financial information, of course, in more detailed accounts receivable, accounts payable details, bank balances, reconciliations, legal documents, contracts, vendor agreements, things of that nature, as well as any technology, if there's software, or if there's any kind of intellectual property that comes along with the business as well. And so those are the 5 steps to selling a business: crystallizing the narrative, researching and finding the optimal counterparties, having the discussions and boiling it down to offers, negotiating those offers relevant to the variables that are most important, and running that diligence process, formal diligence process, from the LOI to the closing. Now, the 2 secrets that we use throughout this process to winnow things down quickly, both efficiently and effectively. First of these is ask people to do things. And so there's always this expression in business of fetching rocks, right? And so when someone says to us, can we get a little more information on this? Can we get a little more information on that? Can you tell us how the company does this or that, right? Every one of those is fetching a rock, right? You're doing something for somebody. And so we want to make that a mutual process. And so throughout the exercise, particularly in that step of kind of winnowing things down from who might be interested to who's actually going to put forth an offer, we say, well, if you're interested, you sign a non-disclosure agreement. Check out the preliminary data room that we have. Provide us with some follow-up questions. We want to have another phone call. Give us an indication of interest, just some broad description of how this deal might work and why you're capable of doing it. Perhaps we want to have a Zoom meeting with ownership or management prior to the formal offers, depending on the situation. And then there's the actual formal LOI on formal letterhead. So each one of these steps, every time you ask someone to do something, this is true in life equally as it is in our business, is things will fall away, right? If you don't ever ask anyone to do anything, you'll have this giant crowd that just kind of carries along to the end of the process, and you feel good about it. When you say, okay, who's going to put forth an offer, you're not going to get what you're looking for. Everyone's going to fall away at that time. So you'd rather have a much more accurate gauge and constantly be testing and pushing so that you make sure you're shaking loose any of the apples that aren't going to stick around, to the end of the harvest season, if you will. And the second secret that we utilize is ask for references. And so think about it. When someone's looking to buy your company, they are selling you on the idea of selling your business to them. And so by virtue of that, when someone's asking you for something, you always want references. If you had a new vendor, a new software, new employees, you'd always say, who are references? Who else have you worked with? give us someone that we can chat with that can speak to both your character and capabilities. And so we want to do the same thing. And so if someone's looking to buy a company, we say, give us references. Who else have you bought? Who else have you talked to? If you haven't bought things in this realm before, who else can we speak to make sure that you're a bona fide interested party that A, has the capability, B, has the desire, and C, has some level of experience or track record that would indicate that you'd be the good next steward of the business. Because it's very rare that anyone says, sell my business and I don't care where it goes and I don't care what happens to it post-transaction. All of our clients want confidence that the business from where they've taken it in this next season under new ownership is going to get to even higher levels and create that much more of a legacy. And so the 2 secrets we like to say at the end of it is ask people to do things, ask for references. And so that's a thought for today. This is how we sell businesses. These are 2 specific items that we implement throughout the process to make sure that we get to the right outcomes. Hope the week's going well for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. See you next time.